So, what if you could open a time capsule and find not old stuff, but feelings? Pure, unfiltered human emotion from over 1,000 years ago. Well, today, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're diving into the world of classical Chinese poetry to see how these ancient poets captured life's biggest moments. We're talking everything from pure joy to deep, deep sorrow and quiet peace. All right, let's get into it. Okay, let's kick things off with this absolute banger of a line from the poet Li Bai. It goes, "人生得意苏金欢." And listen, this isn't just some gentle suggestion. It's basically a command. Seize the day, drain the cup, embrace happiness with everything you have. It's carpe diem, but with an intensity that feels just as real today as it did way back in the Tang dynasty. Right. Because let's be real, life is rarely that simple, is it? For every big celebration, there's always a flip side. A quiet moment of sadness, a tough decision, or just this deep longing for some peace. And that's the thing. These poets were absolute masters at capturing all that messy, complex stuff too. So first up, a toast to life. We're going to look at revelry and friendship in the Tang dynasty. Because this was a time when amazing poetry wasn't just written alone in a quiet room. Nope, it was born out of friendship and, well, a whole lot of wine. To really get this poetry, you've got to get the era. The Tang dynasty, man, it was a cultural peak, an age of just incredible confidence, bold expression. And poetry, it wasn't just some highbrow art form. It was literally woven into the fabric of everyday life. It's how you connected with people, how you competed, how you talked. And this whole love of a good time thing wasn't just a one-off. It was a full-blown cultural phenomenon. The perfect example, this legendary crew of 8 scholars and poets. They were called the 8 Immortals of the Wine Cup. Seriously, they were famous for their love of drink and wild antics. I mean, one of them was supposedly so drunk, he fell off his horse into a well and just decided to take a nap there. That's the vibe we're talking about. And this quote, it just perfectly captures that spirit. 天子乎来不上船，自称陈氏酒中仙. It's about Li Bai, the biggest rock star poet of them all. The emperor himself calls for him. And what does Li Bai do? He basically says, nah, can't make it. I'm busy being the immortal of wine. Can you imagine? It just shows how much they valued that spark of inspiration and personal freedom over everything else. Even a direct order from the emperor. Okay, so that's the high. But for every one of those joyful toasts, there was a goodbye. And this brings us to the complete flip side, the sorrow of parting. In a world without our kind of connection, this was a huge, huge deal and a massive theme in their poetry. I mean, you really have to stop and think about this to get it. Look at this comparison. For us, a goodbye means a video call later, a text in 5 minutes. We can be on a flight and see them tomorrow. But back then, a goodbye was heavy. A journey could take months. Letters might never arrive. Saying farewell to a friend meant there was a very real chance you would never see that person again. Ever. And this one line from Li Shangyin just nails that feeling. 相见喜难别亦难. It means meeting is hard and parting is hard too. It's this beautiful, heartbreaking little paradox, right? The very thing that brings you so much joy, finally meeting up with someone you care about, is always shadowed by the pain that you're going to have to leave them again. The harder it is to meet, the harder it is to say goodbye. So you've got these incredible highs of friendship and these crushing lows of saying goodbye. What do you do with all that? Where do you go? Well, for many of these poets, the answer was to get away from it all. They turned to nature to find some peace, some solace. This actually became a whole genre of poetry, Tian Yuan Shi, which translates to fields and gardens poetry. But here's the key. It's not just about writing pretty poems about trees and rivers. It's a full-on philosophy. It's about consciously choosing to escape the rat race and find your true self in a simpler, more natural setting. It's kind of like the ancient version of what we do today with mindfulness or forest bathing, that search for clarity out in the wild. Let's look at a perfect example from Wang Wei, who was a master of this. He writes this one line, walk to where the water ends. Just think about that for a second. It gives you this feeling of reaching a dead end, right? The end of the road. So what do you do when you can't go any further? And here's the second half. It's just beautiful. And sit to watch the clouds arise. Wow. Instead of getting frustrated or trying to force a new path, he just stops.
He accepts the end of the trail and finds a whole new perspective just by watching the world do its thing. It's this incredible idea that peace comes from observing and accepting, not from constantly struggling against the current.
All right, so let's tie this all together. We've got the crazy joy of life, the sadness of goodbyes, and the search for peace. When you look at it all, what you're really seeing is a mirror of our own lives, showing us that the human heart really hasn't changed all that much. So we've journeyed through these big themes, right? We saw that seize the day spirit of revelry with Li Bai. We felt that deep melancholy ache of parting with Li Shangyin. And we found that sense of tranquility in nature with Wang Wei. Each one is a different theme, a different core emotion, but they're all part of the same human story. And that's really the big takeaway here. Joy, sorrow, peace. The stuff at the very core of being human, it hasn't changed. These poems are so timeless because they speak a language our hearts still understand, connecting us across 1,000 years to people who felt things just as deeply as we do right now. So I'll leave you with this one question to think about. We've seen how these poets turn their lives into art that has lasted for centuries. So what about you? If you took all your moments, the good, the bad, the quiet ones, and turned them into a poem, what would yours say?